Good morning. Let's get back into this beautiful book, American Miscellany. We've just finished essay number 93, and it was typical of this fellow. It's another essay called Lectures on Astronomy, and it was long and tedious, but maybe informative. But hopefully this next essay will be a little bit better, a little shorter anyway. We're here on page 239 of American Miscellany, published in 1865, and our subject is GuttaPercha. We're here, let's see, it's essay number 94 already. All right, let's learn about GuttaPercha. Although the trees yielding Gutta-Percha abound in the indigenous forests of Australia, it is scarcely 5 years since it was discovered by Europeans. The first notice taken of it appears to have been by Dr. William Montgomery in a letter to the Bengal Medical Board in the beginning of 1843, wherein he commends the substance as likely to prove useful for some surgical purposes, and supposes it to belong to the fig tribe. In April 1843, the substance was brought to Europe by Dr. d'Almeida, who presented it to the Royal Society of Arts, London, but it did not at first attract much attention. The Gutta-Percha tree, or Gutta tuba, as it might more properly be called, the percha producing a spurious article, belongs to the natural family Sapotea, but differs so much from all described genera, that the naturalists of Australia are inclined to rank it as a new genus. The tree is of large size, from 60 to 70 feet in height and from 2 to 3 feet in diameter. The mode in which the natives obtain the gutta is by cutting down the trees of full growth and wringing the bark at distances of about 12 to 18 inches apart, and placing a coconut shell, spathe of a palm, or such like receptacle, under the fallen trunk to receive the milky sap that immediately exudes upon every fresh incision. This sap is collected in bamboos, taken to their houses and boiled, in order to drive off the watery particles and inspisate. I'm sorry, there's a big blob there. Okay, that might be an S. Inspisate. That's a new word for me. Okay, to drive off the watery particles and inspisate it to the consistence it finally assumes. Although the process of boiling appears necessary where the gutta is collected in large quantities, if a tree be freshly wounded, a small quantity allowed to ooze out, and it be collected and molded in the hand, it will consolidate perfectly in a few minutes and have all the appearance of the prepared article. When it is quite pure, the color is of a grayish white, but as brought to the market of Australia, it is more ordinarily found of a reddish hue, arising from chips of bark that fell into the sap in the act of making the incisions, and which yield their color to it. Besides these accidental chips, there is a great deal of intentional adulteration by sawdust and other materials. Some specimens that have been obtained were found to possess very little short of 1/4 of impurities, and even the purest specimens yield, on being cleansed, 1 ounce of impurities per pound. Fortunately, it is difficult neither to detect nor to clear the gutta of foreign matter, it being only necessary to boil it in water until well softened, roll out the substance into thin sheets, and pick out all impurities, which is easily done, as the gutta does not adhere to anything, and all foreign matter is merely entangled in its fibers, entangled in its fibers, not incorporated in its substance. Mr. Oxley has calculated that the quantity exported from Singapore to Great Britain and the continent from the 1st of January 1845 to the present date amounts to about 7,000 piculs. Piculs, it's a new word. And that to obtain this quantity, nearly 70,600 trees have been sacrificed. When fresh and pure, the gutta is of a greasy feel with a peculiarly leathery smell. It is not affected by boiling alcohol, but dissolves readily in boiling spirits of turpentine, also in naphtha and coal tar. A good cement for gluing bottles and other purposes is formed by boiling together equal parts of gutta, coal tar, and resin. When required for use, it can always be made plastic by putting the pot containing it over the fire for a few minutes. The gutta itself is very inflammable. A strip cut off takes light and burns with a bright flame, emitting sparks, and dropping a black residuum in the manner of sealing wax, which in its combustion very much resembles. But the great peculiarity of the substance, and that which makes it so eminently useful for many purposes, is the effect of boiling water upon it. When immersed for a few minutes in water above 150 degrees of Fahrenheit, it becomes soft and plastic, so as to be capable of being molded to any required shape or form, which it retains upon cooling. If a strip of it be cut off and plunged into boiling water, it contracts in size in both length and breadth. This is a very anomalous and remarkable phenomenon, apparently opposed to all the laws of heat. It is this plasticity, when plunged into boiling water, that has allowed of its being applied to so many useful purposes, and which first induced some Malays to fabricate it into whips, which were taken into some of the towns in Australia, and led to its further notice. The natives soon extended their manufacture to buckets, basins, and jugs, shoes, traces, vessels for cooling wine, and several other domestic purposes. The number of patents lately taken out for the manufacture of the article in this country proves how much attention and interest have been attached to it, and how extensively useful it is likely to become. It's interesting. I wonder if we had never developed plastic, I wonder if that really would have taken off.